to our first session. I would like to introduce our keynote address speaker for today. Presenting, Insinyur Jasini Maidensa. Insinyur Jasini was appointed Chief Executive Officer of PBA Holdings Berhad and General Manager of Perbadanan Bekalan Air Pulau Pinang Sendirian Berhad on the 1st April 2007. He holds a diploma in civil engineering from University Technology Malaysia, a civil engineering degree from the University of Glasgow, a diploma in management from the Malaysian Institute of Management, and master's degree in business administration from University Science Malaysia. He is also a registered professional engineer with the Board of Engineers Malaysia and a member of the Malaysian Water Association, MWA. He has served PBA, PP, and previously PBA for a total of 29 years and is an expert in water supply management and practices. Ladies and gentlemen, today Insinyur Jasini will be presenting his keynote speech with the title Climate Change and the Upcoming Water Crisis, Options and Solutions. So without further ado, please welcome Insinyur Jasini.
Terima kasih. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me to speak on climate change. And as you know, I am involved in water supply all my life. And just now I had a short discussion with Dr. Kadir, and I want to start by saying no water, no life. I attended a Pemandu session with the Minister Idris Jala, Prime Ministers, and my colleague there from NCER, and all the corridors. And I told them, you are all discussing about doing something in the future, but taking water supply for granted. I don't see it anywhere in the Pemandu discussion. Because everybody open their tap every morning and they get water. So they take water for granted. And of all the utilities, water is the cheapest. Just compare your monthly water bills. But whenever we want to review the water rates, it becomes such a big issue. Just compare your bills. So here, this is a challenge. And we in Malaysia, although we have over 2,000 to 3,000 millimeters of rain per year, but sad to say, we are not managing the water supply adequately. And it is most what they call glaring in the richest state in the country. Next. So, in the media, I highlight some of these captions which you find in the front pages of the recent rationing in Selangor, and of course at the bottom, the Chief Minister of Penang says that there is no rationing in Penang. That is correct, because in Penang we plan for no rationing. You have to plan for no rationing. You shouldn't plan for rationing. That means you are planning for a disaster. What's the point? So to do that, you have to plan ahead. But you need the cooperation of strategic partners, stakeholders, to make this happen. And I sometimes tell people that, the reason the British came to Penang is because of water. That's all. And Penang, until now, owes its development to water supply. Because when Captain Lancaster, to me, was the original James Bond, he was a military intelligence captain who sailed in this area when the Dutch was controlling Malacca. So in the 17th century, he saw the waterfall on Penang Island. And they planned and came to Penang about 80 over years later. Yeah? Next. So of course, some are man-made, climate change, but Mother Nature also plays a role, because as you know, Mother Nature is dynamic. And if you read the history of the universe, it is always changing. Yeah? We all know that our system is about 4.7 billion years old, and it is changing every day. So Mother Nature also plays a major share in the climate change. But just like anything else, the animals and the plants, you have to accommodate the changes. So what we need to do as human beings is to accommodate the changes, and although the human beings also contribute, we also have to change that. Yeah? Okay? We can't change Mother Nature, but we can change human beings. Next. Now, I show you the impact this year of the long drought. Now you see in color in red, the first 3 months, there is a drastic drop of rainfall. And this would be the same in Selangor. But I'm showing you the Penang because this is the statistics that I have. I can verify. So you can see that in February, Penang only received 14 millimeter. So that is a drastic drop. Yeah? In terms of water supply, what we do, what is the KPI of my production manager, I give it to them. You must fill up all your dams before Christmas. Now, I don't know whether you know or not, Christmas is actually the last day of the wet season. Yeah? And you will notice after Christmas, you will have major changes in weather. And one of them, most unfortunately, was the tsunami on Boxing Day. Fortunately for me, I was having a sleep on that Boxing Day. Normally we would be by the beach, and those people who were on the beach were wiped out. Yeah? Okay? Now, so we know in Malaysia, we know the weather. So for anybody to tell you, oh, because the rainfall, we don't have water, I said that's bullshit. We as engineers, we design the dam, we must have at least 70 years of rainfall data. That's why we construct a dam there. But since Mother Nature is changing, the size of the dam have to be relooked because the duration of the drought is getting longer. All the while, from the British times, we inherited the British standards. We in Malaysia, all dams are designed to last for 100 days only. Selangorians, please take note. How big your dam is, it can only last 100 days if no rain. So if January, February, March, and it goes into April, that's why your dam is empty. Because it was designed for that. So don't keep on harping, not enough rainfall. What you need to do is increase the size of dam. So people in Sydney who experience a 10-year drought, in Sydney, they designed the dam 10 years. If no rain for 10 years, Sydney will still survive. So you imagine how big the dam will be. And that's the investment you have to put. And you have to have the political will to construct that. Yeah? Next. So this, we show comparison of data over the last 5 years compared to last year. So it went very low, yeah, but still above our alert level. Now here I want to tell you about alert levels, especially to journalists and reporters. Whenever anybody tell you the capacity of the dam, always ask, what is the effective capacity, please? When we talk about dam capacities, we must talk about effective capacities. Because if you talk about gross capacity, then you will have the Malacca Dam problem again. Because a gross capacity includes a dead storage. Now, Sungai Selangor might be 33%. Please ask, is it effective? Because if there's dead storage, then the actual effective capacity will be less than 33%. And that is even more serious. Yeah? So when we talk about capacities of dam, it must be effective, which is gross minus dead. And sometimes that can be almost 15% of the dam capacity. The designer who designed the dam, okay, will calculate how much sedimentation, how much will settle down and fill up the bottom. It's called dead storage because you cannot use that water. Yeah? It's made of silt, it's made of sand which have settled down. So if the dam is designed for 70 years or 100 years, so this siltation will come up. And that has been predetermined by the dam designer. Okay? Next. This is Teluk Bahang, even worse. This is the second largest dam on Penang Island. The only dam in the world 1 kilometer from the sea. So those of you who haven't been to Penang, please take a trip there. Start from Balik Pulau town around 6:30 and you will catch the beautiful sunset. The Chinese love the place. The Hokkien cemetery is very expensive there because it's a double feng shui. When you come from Balik Pulau, you will see the fresh water level, and behind it is beautiful. It's the sea water level. You cannot find it anywhere else. Normally, you want to go to a dam, you have to travel for 3 hours into the jungle. But in Penang, it's just 1 kilometer from the sea. Okay? But why we built the dam there? Because we got records over 70 years, inherited from the British and so on, that it has the most rainfall. Yeah? And it proved to be our savior during this early this year, because it managed to balance the water supply on the island. But you see in February, 7 millimeter for the whole month. Yeah? So that's why we were almost in trouble. Yeah? But fortunately for Penang, which Selangor do not have, and I have explained to people in Selangor, you must have like a Sungai Muda source of supply. Whenever the engineers tell you your internal sources are insufficient, please believe them. Yeah, the problem is people don't want to believe the professionals. So if Selangor have an external source, this problem won't happen. In Penang, we have an external source, which is Sungai Muda. So whatever happens in Penang, if Sungai Muda is healthy, Penang is okay. Now, in Selangor, if they have completed the Langat 2 and the Pahang water last year, this thing won't happen. Now, those people who said there is enough water, where are they? Where are they now? Where are they? They should be accountable to the state government when they said there is enough water. Yeah? It's not enough. The engineers have told the state government it's not enough. Yeah? So, because of this. Mother Nature is changing. We never had such a low rainfall like this. Yeah? You must remember the blue one is the average from 2005 to 2013. Okay? So this is Mother Nature. So you know it's changing, so you must change with Mother Nature. So as an engineer, you have to design better and plan better. Okay? Next. You see, that's the Telok Bahang level. Really, really drastic. Because I'm showing this to give you a clear picture what's happening in Selangor. It cannot be too much different. Yeah? Because geographically, we are just a few seconds away by flight. Yeah? So should be about the same. So over the several years ago, and you see the red one, that is the weather this year. It is a fact. Yeah? Next. And this is Sungai Muda. Now Sungai Muda have a very big catchment right up to the Thai border. It is the most important catchment in the northern region. I highlighted to Datuk Reza from NCER. Again, I told NCER, you all are inviting 11 billion, 16 billion investment. What if I tell you I don't have water? What are those projects going to be? Are those projects do not require water? Please tell me. Why is water not on the list in Pemandu? Why? Everybody take water supply for granted, as if there no need to plan, no need to invest. So if you don't have water supply, but you talk about bringing investments, yeah? For instance, Johor, 152 billion in Iskandar. Where is the water? Where are they going to get the water from for this 152 billion investment? Please answer that. Yeah? Now, Kalang Kabut nak suruh Petronas set up a water treatment plant. Yeah? This is afterthought. I've mentioned this to Pemandu many times. But why? The value of water is very low. It's cheap. Yeah? So when it's cheap, they equate it to not significant. But if it's not there, nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. Yeah? You can't even open 880 business applications in Selangor. How about that? And where are they going? Of course, they will find other places which have reliable water supply. Next. Of course, these are factors. I think everywhere is the same. The population is increasing. I told my friends who lost their jobs in 1997-98 selling hot dogs after they came back from overseas, tak ada kerja, whatever you do, please do anything with water supply, because it is the only industry, even if there's no business, will have a positive growth. It is the only industry with positive growth, no matter what's happening. Whether there's inflation, depression, recession, whatever shin, population always increase. And when population always increase, you always need more water. And of course, NRW. Now this is where it's man-made. Non-revenue water. I think you know, non-revenue water is water produced but not received by the consumer because it's lost. Leakage. Yeah? The national average is very high. But don't misunderstand, because other countries, they also play a trick. They do not disclose their national average. But Malaysia, being a good boy, yeah, we always tell other countries, this is our national NRW. No other country gives their national. They only give their capital or their best town. Take note, eh? Yeah? They don't. But we, being very good, yeah, we tell the whole world our national is 36. Yeah? But it needs to be brought down. That means 36% of water produced does not reach the customer. And all because of doing something not right the first time. If the water companies achieve operational excellence, your pipes won't leak. Choose the right material, and the pipe laying procedures are followed. NRW is something leaking because you did not do it right the first time. It's a second time job. So normally NRW consultants do not like me because their business, they are saying that you need them. Actually, I told people, you don't need them. You just do it right. Make sure your operation managers are doing the right thing. So in Penang, we have been doing it for ages, even before they coined NRW. Okay? And because of that, our NRW is always the lowest in the country. But not low enough, because we are constrained by the price of our water. The problem is our water is also the lowest in the world, in the freely democratic world. Yeah? So, with such a low price, it does not make sense to save water so cheap. Okay? Can you see the comparison? If your water price is low, it does not make sense to save the water. If the water price is as high as oil, and that's why in the oil industry is zero NRW. Okay? To us engineers, there is no difference between oil and water. My friends who work in the oil industry, who went to the same university, they laugh at us water engineers. What are you all? We use the same formula, hydraulics formula, same engineering formulas, and why you all got NRW? I say you all boleh lah. Your petrol per liter berapa ringgit? We are 1,000 times cheaper than the price of petrol. You take note? The price of petrol is per liter. Yeah? The price of water is per 1,000 liter. So that's the difference. It's so cheap. Yeah? So you have to raise the value of water so that it makes business sense to save the water. Okay? But what is the price of no water? In the middle of the desert, if somebody were to sell you a gallon of water or a liter of water, how much do you think is the price? It is infinite actually. The one who has the money will pay for it, and it's infinite. That's the price of water actually. Yeah? Okay, next. So here, I also didn't believe it. I didn't know that Malaysian population will reach 30 million this year. I was always thinking 20 million. Suddenly, 30 million. So, naturally, when Mother Nature changes, the drought gets longer and the population gets more, the impact is very drastic. Yeah? Correct? Because you have less water to feed more people. And this is only Malaysia, yeah? Next. Then this is the problem with Penang. But there is a very good relationship. I have told PhD students to do a study, but my data is there. Penang have the cheapest water in the world, but they use the most water. You see not the relationship? Yeah? Huh? We use so much water because it's so cheap. Can be said that a small family in Penang, we bill bi-monthly, okay? Their bill is less than a cup of coffee in Starbucks. You imagine, a cup of coffee in Starbucks costs more than a 2-month supply of water in Penang. That's how cheap our water is. I'm talking about Penang, but also in Malaysia. There are many states where the price of water is below the cost. It's being subsidized. So you must slowly raise the value of water to reflect its true value. Next. This is water consumption. Naturally, when population increase, I told you, the water industry is always positive gradient. It's the only business with a positive gradient. Yeah? And because the demand will always grow. When there's no business, at least 2%. When there's good business, it can go to 7-8% in Penang. Yeah? Or in Selangor. Yeah? And nationally it can be 5%. Next. This is where I compare the water bill of everybody and to water. Why is taken for granted? Okay, you have 75 ringgit for mobile phone. This is just modest, yeah. Some families got 5 mobile phones. Yeah? The mother, the father, the daughter, the son, the maid. You calculate lah, berapa? Then electricity, Astro. They say don't raise the water, but I got Astro. Astro is okay. Okay? Then internet, petrol, cooking, and water. And in Penang, that's why I told you, a coffee at Starbucks is $12 something. That's 11 ringgit. Yeah? It's very cheap. Next. Just now, I think a few days ago, also was in the front pages. This NRW translate nationally to over 4 billion liters. That's how much water is being lost. So now everybody have to really think about it. Okay, the weather is changing. This is within our power. Yeah? You have the money, you better solve this problem. Because if not, you have to look for 4 billion liters of water somewhere. But this water is inside the pipe and is, losing everywhere. So people of Malaysia have to decide. You must do this. In Penang, we are willing to do it at that level. Because I explained to you, we could bring it lower. But does not make financial sense. The price of my water is too cheap. Yeah? It costs more for Penang to reduce. Just for your information, 20% is considered the average for developed countries, bearing in mind the price of water everywhere. 20%. So in UK, theirs is 19.7. So whenever I compare NRW, I always compare to UK lah, because they are our colonial masters. We learn everything from them. Whatever you do here is British standards, ma. Correct? Do you have any other standards? No? British standards. So when British standards, always compare to the master. So we in Penang say, we are better than London. So, yeah, that's okay lah. Huh? So, but I just met somebody in the East, and you know who are these people? The Japanese. The Japanese. And you know what is their NRW? In Tokyo, 3.3%. The lowest humanly possible. Why? When you buy a water meter, the manufacturer will tell you the accuracy of your brand new water meter is between 2 to 3%. You can't do anything about it unless you go and buy a water meter from Rolls-Royce with zero tolerance. That will cost you a Rolls-Royce lah. You don't want to put a Rolls-Royce water meter at your house, do you? Somebody will steal it. So, technically, equipment in the water business can achieve between 2 to 3%. Now, if Tokyo can achieve 3.3, you imagine. But then, afterwards, I'll show you Tokyo punya water price. Berbalik lah, because the water price is up there. That's why they can do it. Yeah? I will show you the relationship between water price and NRW. Yeah? Okay, next. So for me, this. Okay. They say Penang people like to talk, which is true. But if people enjoy the talk, you shouldn't disrupt lah. Kalau orang tak suka, kalau orang tidur, okay lah. So basically, we have to do this. We have to look at supply management as well as demand management. Yeah? You have to do this. I always go all water conferences all over the world in Malaysia since 20 years ago. The first thing you must protect is your water catchment. I have been asking the government, where is the audit for water catchment for each state? Please show the report card. Because if you don't gazette water catchments, it will disappear. Don't take into account when they say, oh, the forest department have gazetted it. Sorry, we don't trust Forestry Act. We, in Penang, we do it under the Water Catchment Act. Because why? The Forestry Act, they can de-gazette it quietly without anybody doing. Really? I want to clear that. As a water engineer, this is my crusade for Malaysia. The first value chain to make sure water supply is okay in Malaysia. Ask for an audit for each state in Malaysia whether they have gazetted the catchment under the Water Catchment Act, not the Forest Act. Yeah? So we did it in Penang, and that time the Chief Minister was Tan Sri Kosukun. I nagged him for 14 years. 1-4, that's my crusade. 14 years even for Penang to gazette the catchment. So you imagine other states. Yeah? Now, then after you protect the catchment, then only you go down. NRW. You must reduce NRW, but balance it with the price of water. Infrastructure, I mentioned it to you just now, like dams. If we already know Mother Nature is giving you a drought longer than before, so you cannot follow the old British standards of 100 days. So you might be thinking, balance it with the economic, financial resources. Maybe it should be 180 days now. Tak adalah buat macam Sydney sampai 10 years. They are like that. I'm sure you would have read the news. Las Vegas will only last another 1.5 months because the Hoover Dam and the Colorado River is almost empty. Las Vegas, kalau tak ada air, tutup. They have only 1.5 months left. Okay? Then you find new resources. You must look like Penang. We are like Singapore, surrounded by the sea. Naturally, we are looking at desalination. Looking at water recycling, rainwater harvesting. Now, this is the saddest part. What I discovered. Malaysia, NGOs talking everywhere about rainwater harvesting. Do you know that we have gazetted in 2011 rainwater harvesting? And yet, only 6 states have adopted it and don't talk about implementing it. Any NGOs here on rainwater harvesting? Okay, Gurmeet? Okay, my old friend there. So, this is Malaysia. Then they talk about rainwater harvesting. I spoke to Dato' Kadir. We Malaysians never check history. I was so surprised that besides Gurmeet, some NGOs harping on rainwater harvesting, they didn't even know that it has been gazetted. So now you know it has been gazetted. Why are all the states not adopting it or implementing it? You have the law. You are empowered. Okay? Then demand management. Of course, demand management, kita nak tukar perangai orang. Ini susah sikit. Kalau like in Penang, you know why Penang use so much water? They say in Penang, the people there mandi sebelum semayang. So berapa kali mandi satu hari? 5 kali. Yes, 5 times a day they bathe because it's so cheap. They don't feel the pinch. Human beings are like that. If they don't feel a pinch, is when they feel a pinch. The best experience for Malaysians is when our previous Prime Minister raised the petrol price. Betul tak? Wah, boleh rasa kan? Then everybody carpool. Betul tak? Then after that, okay, so cultivate water saving lifestyles. So we have to do this, because this is the only way to accommodate Mother Nature. It's going to happen, and if we don't change, you're going to suffer. Promote water saving devices and raise the value of water. So in Australia, which is a large continent actually, although it's an island, the main deterrent for development in Australia is water supply. A factory went to Adelaide wanting to open, just like now Selangor kan. If the local council don't have water, somebody applies to open a business, they give you a 1-page letter with 1 paragraph. Sorry, we cannot accommodate your application because we do not have water supply. Full stop. Okay? Adelaide gets only 150 mm of water a year. That's how little water they get. So we got between 2,000 to 3,000, and yet pun tak boleh manage. Macam mana ni? The management of water is only for 3 or 4 months. In the whole of Malaysia, our wet season is usually now until Christmas. So what we need to do is store that water before it goes into the sea, so that we can use it immediately in January. And the Chinese New Year is the peak demand, because it's always in February. As I showed you just now, the rainfall, that's the worst. Okay, next. So I've mentioned just now, the catchment, you must take care of it. This is the waterfall in Penang that Captain Lancaster saw and brought the British to Penang. Because why? Penang is a port and you need regular supply of water for a port. Any port in the world. Next. The one I told you. So, since I know the Japanese are very good in NRW, I partner with them. So they have decided to set up their first outside of Japan NRW training center in Penang. And we are working with them. Okay? Because they are amazing in the way they do things. The Japanese are very good in breaking down jobs into simple actions, and they are minimalists. What's the meaning of minimalist? To achieve something with minimal cost. Yeah? The way they do. You buy an Audi and you buy a Honda and you ask a mechanic. Once the mechanic sees an Audi, ayo, dia kata, gua punya tangan pun tak boleh masuk dalam. So how do you design an engine when you can't even put your hand inside? The Japanese won't do that. They make it life very simple. Yeah? So we have a project, and the best part, they gave us a grant. So we are working with them, and we hope when we train our people, later we will train the whole of Malaysia. Okay? Next. This is the Telok Bahang Dam I told you about, the double feng shui. You see there's Telok Bahang town down there. Yeah? This is built G to G with the government of China. Feng shui is so good, anybody who wants to be the president of China must visit this dam. Sure. All of them. The last 3 presidents. Hu Jintao came here, dia balik, dia jadi president. So whenever the Chinese comes to Penang, to Malaysia, they will make a secret visit to this dam. Okay? Yeah. And like I said, we must build more than 100 days lah, because the facts are there. You now know the drought is moving from 3 months to 4 months. So I would suggest 6 months, but it will cost more. But like I told you, what's the cost of no water? It's infinite. Okay? If Sydney is willing to build a 10-year drought dam, so why can't we build? Maybe a 1-year drought also can. Yeah? Next. So this is what we should be doing to manage the resources. Our planning timeline is 2050. Yeah? And you must protect your catchment, tap all the available rivers, and so the rivers must be protected so that they are clean. Because if a river is clean, you will use less chemicals to treat. Okay? If the river is dirty, of course the engineers can clean it. The engineers can do anything, as long as you pay them money. Correct? But we prefer, if the river is clean, you will use less chemicals, therefore it will cost less. So you must protect the rivers and the catchment. Next. So these are some of the actions that we are trying to do, and which everybody should do, and today the media plays a role, to make people aware. Like in Australia, they have managed to educate the public. During the dry season, they even have dry season laws. Here, kalau kita buat big public uproar. Uproar means people are not educated enough to understand the bigger picture, because we want to make sure we have no rationing. So there must be sacrifice even from the consumers. Next. I think this is just what we in Penang did was to assist in demand management. We introduced the first water conservation surcharge. That means if you use water above a certain level, then you kena a penalty. So it is working. Yeah, this is a way of educating people. Next. Of course, water saving devices also needs need to be implemented, just like rainwater harvesting. But if you pass the law, but if nobody does anything, pun tak guna juga. Okay? What I want to say is, when revenue equals expenses, sustainable water services is possible. So in Malaysia, if you check the latest Malaysian Water Guideline Book 2014, you will find that many states are in the red. When the water agencies in the states in the red, what does that mean? That means they are not able to sustain the services that they are to provide. When you tak cukup duit, you beat around the house lah. Do what you can. Yeah? So this must be arrested once and for all. Yeah? You cannot provide a service if you are losing money. But the government can play a role. All our income tax, personal income tax, what is it being used for? That's the question. So there must be a combination. Yeah? Okay? Because water cannot be totally private. Water is a strategic commodity. Please understand that. And Singapore understood that. Yeah? Singapore treats their water as a strategic commodity. That means they will spend any amount of money to make sure they have enough supply. Do you know that Singapore have a 1-year storage of water? If it does not rain for 1 whole year, they still have water. Not 100 days, 1 year. Yeah? Okay, next. This is what I want to show you. So you see Tokyo and Singapore, they share the same mentality. They respect water, they value water, therefore they give that value of water that price. And the rakyat also agrees to it. Because that's the price to make sure there is no rationing. Yeah? And that is why Singapore's NRW is around 8%. And Tokyo's NRW is 3%. And the Tokyo water that we are working with, the population of Tokyo is equivalent to the population of Malaysia. So Tokyo water has more customers than the whole of Malaysia. And yet, they can achieve 3%. So although that 3% is not the national Japan figure, but we take Tokyo as Malaysia, 30 million. So if they can do it, we should be able to do it. But Penang have to raise the price to achieve that. There's no way, although we are the cheapest and the lowest, to achieve that, we can do that at 31 cents. Yeah? Okay? And because of that, any company who goes to Maida, their first choice is to open a factory in Penang. That's why we are the Silicon Valley of Malaysia. And Maida have to push them to other states. Because you open a factory in Penang, it's very cheap. Just on the water bill alone, you can beat your competitor. It's 2 times in Selangor, 3 times in Johor, 10 times in Singapore. So who don't want to open a factory in Penang? what more, we don't have rationing. So if you are a businessman, where would you open your factory? Where water supply is cheap and reliable. That is why Penang is able to attract the multinationals. They've been there for 20, 30 years, they're still there. Okay? Next. So, I repeat the supply management, next, and the demand management. So we need to do all this, and we in Penang are doing it as far as we can, but our constraint is to raise the value of water, because we are providing the services expected. But the price, I want to remind you all that PBA is a listed company on the main board. Yeah, a lot of people get mixed up, you know. We are privatized, but the majority shareholder is the state government, and that is where the balance is. Okay? Thank you very much.